Wife has seated me a minute, Misty Sassman, and Lisa Calderon, the lovely Lisa Calderon.
Thank you. 3 minutes, sir. And your name?
My name is Jake Sassman. Good evening. I serve as the District 7 Commissioner for the Cannabis Regulatory Commission and have worked in cannabis for 6 years. I would like to thank the City Council, my fellow commissioners, and the Public Safety Committee for their time and consideration. The framework we have submitted was not an endeavor we took lightly. In fact, countless hours, much deliberation amongst our ranks, as well as thoughtful and relevant additions from the public are the lifeblood of this legislation. After contemplative deliberation, we penned an all-inclusive framework for all Oakland cannabis. Dispensary permit prices have been slashed. Commercial grows and extraction facilities have been zoned to reside in safe areas of Oakland where qualified permit holders will operate in a fashion that will minimize any danger to the public while being inclusive of all Oaklanders, regardless of race or district. We aim to encompass Oakland's entire multicultural and diverse population. Yet the reality remains that the drug war has ravaged every corner of Oakland. Our commission regularly invites OPD to our meetings to share arrest statistics with us. The overwhelming majority of cannabis-related arrests have consistently impacted young people of color. We find this shameful, unacceptable, and as such was a major guiding factor in our proposed legislation. And we persevered. It is for these very reasons that I implore you to pass this legislation as it stands, devoid of last-minute caveats that have been added post-submission. Our commission has presented a system that includes all Oaklanders. It also presents opportunities to disenfranchised communities of people that have been excluded from this dialogue and industry. Our framework will create hundreds of jobs at first and thousands in the years to come. Equitable ownership, hiring processes, and the inclusion of individuals who have been most affected by the drug war in this industry is long past due. So in summation, I humbly ask you to consider this before voting. Every Oakland resident deserves a seat at this table. Even if these last-minute additions were penned with the very best of intentions, surely they will lock more people out of the industry because they are impossible to enforce. We have this opportunity before us to be fair, all-inclusive, and affordable to all who reside in our city. We can begin to heal the wounds of this devastating drug war and reaffirm our position as a leader in cannabis business statewide. As my time is running out, I understand that Supernova Women sent the council a memo, which I wholeheartedly endorse as well and urge the council to as well. These are smart and thoughtful ways to alleviate the issues at hand, and I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. I have time conceded to me by Debbie Goldsberry, and my name is Sion Luncho. I'm assuming you're going to call me in the second round. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Sion Luncho, as you already know, and I'm co-founder of Supernova Women along with Amber Center and Nina Parks. They're going to address the points that we made in our letter that we circulated to you all yesterday. But I want to start by saying that we're here because racial and social justice is an imperative in the cannabis industry. Supernova was formed because we attended events in the industry and heard people talking about the need for racial and social justice, but it seemed as if we hadn't figured out how to implement it. When we know that people are 4 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana offenses based on what they look like, it is very important that when we're implementing policies, those policies reflect a reparations type analysis to make up for the impact that has taken place here in Oakland and elsewhere throughout the country. I also want to say that while we're talking about medical cannabis today, this is just the beginning. And Oakland is at the forefront of medical cannabis, and it surely will be at the forefront of adult use when that happens. And to the extent that you can start now by implementing policies that make sense, that can be then transferred over once the industry even grows bigger beyond just the current patient population and demands there, you will have a system that you can be proud of and say that you helped shape at the very beginning. Thirdly, I think that we need to make sure that we think about small business ownership in multiple ways. There's the brick and mortar sense, but then there's also the extra income that people can earn through the cottage license that we have included in our suggestions to you all today. Small business ownership will help alleviate a lot of the issues that we heard on other agenda items, such as people's inability to earn a living wage at certain jobs, such as people's inability to make rent in the city because they have no extra streams of income. And if we don't think about this from a holistic perspective and we think of it purely based on the plant, we will fail as an industry and we will fail as a city. Finally, I want to conclude by saying our demand is very simple. There should be no licensing unless the licensing is equitable.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I have time ceded to me by Abigail Barreros. Good evening. My name is Amber Center. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Magnolia Wellness here in Oakland, and I'm also co-founder of Supernova Women. I support a cannabis industry that is inclusive of all, not least of which are Oakland people of color, as we are the ones who have been disproportionately and historically prosecuted for cannabis crimes in the city and throughout the country. I support Supernova Women's memo and its suggested changes to have our laws reflect the city's priorities and values when it comes to issues of racial, social, and economic justice. While we agree that the goal of the amendment as worded, we feel that it has significant issues. The city must go further than passing vague language about police beats and look to do things like prioritize license awards to formerly incarcerated. Priority for impacted communities must be provided for in both 5.8 and 5.81 license categories. The amendments do not address issues surrounding access to capital that serves as a main barrier for entry to low-income communities. Allowance for small cottage cultivation licenses without requiring cultivators to own or lease large warehouses will do a lot to give folks without large sums of money capital a way to enter the industry. We want Oakland to be a model for social justice and cannabis policy for the state and also the nation. We are concerned that, as currently proposed, the amendment will not do enough to ensure that this is the case. I ask that City Council not pass the amendment as worded and request further revision consistent with my and Supernova co-founders' recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.